Gibbons laughing. Coach Gibbons, have you been on any of these yet and seen some of the hacks? It's that disclaimer was absolutely needed by Bree.
Yeah.
It is kind of a chuckle though. Welcome everybody, and welcome to Tuesday at 4. It's become our favorite time as we have our Tiger Talk. Want to welcome, as Bree mentioned, 3 different programs in here today. Women's volleyball head coach Greg Gibbons and Riley Patterson. Also cross-country track, Josh Jones and Emma Winkler. And golf with John Cook and Austin Fox. Hope you guys are doing well, and thank you for joining us. Want to start the way I always start and ask how everybody is doing. And since they're at the top of my screen, I'll start with volleyball, and I'll start with Coach Gibbons. How you doing, man? How's your family? Everybody safe?
Yeah. I mean, between homeschooling 3 kids and, we got a new puppy and
what kind?
Keeping a golden retriever. So we're training. She's 7 weeks old. We got approved. We're training him to be a therapy dog for our 11-year-old with autism. So it's pretty amazing, but an amazing family dog. So the kids are excited, but I forgot. It's been a long time since we've had a puppy or a baby for that matter. So my wife right now has been getting up quite a bit, and I get up early, and just training. So, just like we trained our kids when they were little, when they sit and stuff, we give them a kibble, so all that good stuff. So
you gave your kids kibble when they sat?
Yeah, of course. Doesn't everybody, when you're training them as a kid, same thing we do with our team. Riley does good. We put kibbles in her little team room locker and stuff like that. But no, I mean, things are great. And then we've been running Zoom meetings with our team and trying to get them focused, as our girls right now are, getting ready for finals and getting their projects and things like that. So the whole focus right now is just, making sure health and welfare of our girls and our families.
Riley, how you doing over there? Where are you?
I'm doing good. It's nice to be home and spending a lot of time with my family. So that's been good. And I live in the mountains, so I've been going on a lot of hikes also. So that's been nice being able to get outside. So it's been good. It's kind of weird adjusting to online learning and not being at school and in school environment, but it's okay. It's not too bad. So I'm still getting the hang of it, I guess, but it's been good.
Was definitely going to touch on the, on the online learning thing here in a little bit. We'll get back to that. Coach Jones, how you doing?
Good. Doing good. Yeah. Just like Greg, got 3 kids at home, homeschooling, 2 are teenagers, one's about to be a teenager. So they do what they can to get their schoolwork in. One's turned his room into a gym and stuff like that. Yeah, we didn't get a puppy though. We didn't go that far.
I'm gonna say now's the time. Emma, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thankfully, my family is all healthy, so I'm just enjoying spending some more time with them. And we've been meeting as a team every Sunday, so that's really fun to stay connected with everybody. And it's going well so far.
Good. You hanging out in Clarksburg?
Yep.
Awesome. Coach Cook, what's up, man?
Not much. How you doing, Zach?
I'm well. How are you guys doing over there?
We're doing good. Just trying to kind of excited. Golf opened up again in San Joaquin Valley here this weekend, so we're kind of have access to get out on the golf course again a little bit. It's kind of been like winning the lottery here lately.
I could imagine. Austin, how about you? You golfing?
I'm golfing, yeah. Luckily, Sacramento has kept their courses open the whole time, so I've been able to get out and play a lot. But yeah, just working on schoolwork, staying busy, trying to work out a little bit, and just trying to keep busy.
I want to keep it with the guys from golf because you guys might have one of the more interesting stories as far as how all of this developed when this hit. You guys were actually on the road in Arizona and got called back. You had your season prematurely ended. There were 3 events canceled plus the WCC tournament canceled. But you guys were on the course when things started to kind of go haywire. Coach Cook, can you tell us about that from firsthand experience?
Yeah, it was a little surreal. We were down in Phoenix. It was over spring break. And, things were kind of happening a little bit. They just announced that the NBA player came down with the COVID-19. And the NBA kind of freaked out and paused things. And all the teams had already started to arrive. And we were supposed to have a coaches meeting at noon on Wednesday down there in Phoenix, during the practice round. And then it was kind of freaky too, because in Phoenix it was actually pouring down rain, which you don't normally get. And so they actually moved the tee times up to accommodate some lightning was supposed to come in the afternoon, some thunderstorms. So they moved the tee times up a little bit earlier. We teed off about 9 o'clock. We had a coaches meeting at 8. And at that time, everyone was still there. One school had gotten called back already that they said they had to send their players home, but the tournament was still going to go on. And then by the time we got out to the second hole, we got a massive text that the tournament had been canceled, and we were to leave the premises as soon as possible and head home. It was kind of interesting. So we kept playing about, what did we play, Austin? 6 or 7 holes you guys played while I was trying to figure out how to get us home on some flights.
Yep.
I was on speed dial with Tim Dixon. That's why he doesn't have any hair anymore, because he's my sports supervisor.
Oh, he didn't have hair long before this. Don't worry.
But we just had to get home. I was pretty much told we either going to drive home that night or get on a flight. But luckily we were able to get on a flight and get home that night. But it was just kind of it was an interesting experience, to say the least. It was kind of the sad moment for some of the seniors playing some practice rounds, and we didn't know what to see. And then as the day developed, they canceled pretty much the whole NCAA season. So everything's kind of went from getting ready for a tournament, excitement for that, to absolutely nothing happening for the future. It was kind of a sad deal.
Yeah, I was going to get more into your emotions of the moment. I mean, were you, like there was a lot of I remember that day, and I remember watching the NBA shut down. We had just gotten back from Vegas from our tournament, and it was, the unknown was the scariest part of it all, because you just didn't know exactly what we were dealing with. What were some of your more specific emotions in that moment? I'd imagine maybe some fear about getting home, but take us through your emotions.
I'd say personally, it was like, is this really happening more than anything? I mean, this can't really be happening. I mean, we're playing golf, it just doesn't affect us. We're outside all the time. So that was my first instinct. This can't really be happening at the golf, on the golf course. And then as we got to the airport, it was also during spring training down there, and the rental car place was insane when we pulled up. I mean, there was lines beyond lines, because everyone was like evacuating Phoenix. It was kind of crazy, because they just shut down spring training and everything. And it really started to kind of realize, wow, this is serious. So I thought we were pretty fortunate actually to get on that plane that night and get out of there without any problems, and get the guys home, at least back to campus for the time being, until we actually had to send them home from campus. That's another story. But yeah, that was I don't know. Austin might be able to allude a little bit more on what what they're going through as a little bit as a team.
Yeah, that's where I was going next with Austin. Can you take us through it?
Yeah, I mean, it was just kind of a really strange kind of sequence of events. Like our coach said, like we showed up, we were kind of getting ready to play the practice round. We were warming up, and we kind of noticed 2 teams leaving, heading back toward the vans, and because their athletic directors pulled them off. So we were kind of like, okay, this is kind of weird. Luckily, we're still here, and so we went and teed off for the practice round, got through 1 hole, and then next thing you know, coach got the text saying the tournament was canceled, and we had to come back home. And it was just kind of a weird experience. Didn't really know what I was feeling then. I was still kind of in tournament mode, getting ready to play golf. We ended up playing, like we said, 7 or 8 holes, and it was kind of a fun little way to end the season. Not exactly how I wanted it, but it was definitely a top memory. And then I just remember when we got back and we were kind of driving in the van, we started playing some songs, and that's when it kind of really hit me that like the season was over, and that probably we weren't going to be able to play again. And it was kind of a bittersweet moment, because it is my senior year.
Yeah.
It was definitely an interesting way to end. Didn't go the way I planned it, but definitely glad for all the experiences along the way.
What were some of the emotions you had when it started to hit you that this was it for you? I mean, your collegiate career is over.
Yeah, I got a little sad, got a little teary-eyed in the van, not gonna lie. I was just disappointed we didn't get to finish the season the way that we thought we would. We had 5 freshmen and 5 seniors this year, so we were kind of figuring some things out in the fall, and we were starting to put things together in the spring. So I was very interested to see how the season was going to end and turn out. But when we got back home, I kind of just took a deep breath and realized that, I've had a great college career, and I'm really thankful to that. Thankful for all my teammates and my coaches, and just all the great experiences I've had.
Yeah, we'll get to some of those experiences coming up, but thank you for all you contributed to Pacific Golf from all of us. Coach Gibbons, who, by the way, you just finished your 11th season as coach of the indoor team, right?
Yes.
Is that hard to believe for you? I mean, I remember when you
Right.
first came. It's like the blink of an eye.
Yeah, it definitely flies. It doesn't seem like it, so, but it's been a great 11 years. So it's awesome.
Well, 7 matches into your beach season, the virus hits and your beach season gets washed away. What was that like for you?
Well, ours is we were sitting around, I'd already heard from a couple colleagues that I talked to on beach programs that morning. We were supposed to be going to St. Mary's, and they were talking, hey, we just got canceled in Florida. Florida State was supposed to play someone, and they were a no-go, that they were shutting down. And then I went and talked to Janet and Holly and same, and then, we were just kind of sitting around and told the girls to be in a state of readiness. We weren't sure, what's going on, or we going to play, or we not going to play. I was talking, with Rob over at St. Mary's, and we were trying to come up with different scenarios. If we played, we just shut it down and it's just us playing or whatever, just in case we could. And, just trying to, the girls were ready to go. And then all of a sudden, like, what happened, we weren't in Arizona, like softball and golf were, so ours was, our girls were, I think we fed them or something, and then it got shut down. And then it was a matter of, okay, so what do we do now, and then the season's over. Then we were still going, okay, now that officially it's over, the girls, then it took that process, before the season, before classes went to online, because we were still the plan was to keep them there. And then our beach season was over. So we were going to go back to indoor training and doing some things. And then it just happened, as how fast within a week or 5 days or whatever. And then our whole thing was just trying to get girls home, and we've got our setter over in Belgium, trying to make sure our girls were getting safe, and then trying to help them load their stuff. We borrowed the mule and a couple other things to help our girls load up and head out of Dodge and make it home safely. And everybody made it home safely, and they're still at home safe, Yeah,
that's the important thing. Riley, what, from your eyes, what was that like?
It was definitely weird. I was all packed and ready to go play at St. Mary's, and then all of a sudden Greg's like, there's no game. So that was definitely really weird. So I'm definitely bummed that I didn't get to play or finish our beach season. I was really enjoying it. It's such a different game than indoor, so I was pretty bummed about that. So it was just
I can
such
imagine.
a weird thing.
Yeah, it's totally bizarre.
Yeah.
So Josh, you guys had your it was your cross country season canceled, right? Or was it track?
Track.
I had it right here. Yeah, sorry, track. So track season is gone. How much of a bummer was that for you?
It's definitely a bummer for distance runners, obviously. It's part of their training for their cross country season. And then our field eventers, they've worked all fall and all winter for that, to reach those goals, and then all of a sudden to be kind of swept from underneath you. It's a tough experience to soak in, especially right at the beginning of the year. Yeah.
Emma?
Yeah, it was really, we all look forward to track a lot because we get to merge with the sprinters and the jumpers. And so like the distance runners really look forward to that time because we get like more girls on the team, and it's also not our championship season, so it's more about sort of training and getting in shape. And so we just look forward to track for that, for training and for like getting in touch with the sprinters and the jumpers. So I think that we were all just sort of surprised and disappointed that track season ended. We had one meet and then it was over after that. So it all happened really fast, and we were definitely sort of bummed because we're going to miss that training.
I bet. Josh, I want to ask you, because you're kind of in two different areas. Can you give us some clarity on the eligibility of your student athletes? Because you have, one season in cross country that took place, but track did not. Where does that stand now in terms of eligibility?
So yeah, they're two separate sports. So if, their cross country season was used, but they still get their track season back if they choose to. So So the seniors that aren't coming back, that this was going to be their final year no matter what, that's the one I feel really bad for, because they had goals they want to do on their last push and for their thing. But the two separate sports, so they're two different things. So cross country, they don't get a season. They had their season. Track season, they are eligible for a new one. So,
Greg, is it the same way with beach?
Yes, every one of our beach girls, dual sport athletes and our beach only players got that season back. So, basically, I don't know when I talk to them, are they redshirt freshmen, or they just become freshmen again, or sophomores again. But yeah, they use their indoor season. So that's a year of eligibility they've already used. Same with Josh, they're two completely separate sports. But the good thing is for our girls, is those that want to choose to compete, because they didn't, that obviously spring season got shortened, but we were very blessed in that we didn't have a senior. So in that regard, that was a good thing, because nobody had their season really cut short. They just get a redo, the entire team.
Yeah, this is actually a perfect way to segue into reflecting on your indoor season. I was going to talk about the youth of your team. You had no seniors. You had one junior, was it? Was it just
yes, one junior?
One junior, and then otherwise freshmen and sophomores. Were you pleased with the way the team kind of had a cohesiveness, even being so young?
Of course, I love this team. I mean, they're a great group of young girls, and it was one of those to where they're really focused on the process. It's not about it's about being in the moment and getting better every time we get into practice, putting in as many situations that they can fail in and learn from. I mean, that's the reality. If you look at, as they're coming together, it started off that freshman year 2 years ago, right? We had that big group of freshmen that came in and all started, and the way we finished was better. Same here, as in this process, the journey we're on, they all are coming together, and it's neat, and I might be jumping forward too much on this talk, but we had our first, with our signings, we had our first complete team Zoom where even the incoming girls could get on there and say hello with, our returners. And it was pretty neat to see the growth of this team over the past couple of years, and then what we're adding to it. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a blessing. I mean, it's a competitive environment, and that was one of the things, you miss, where, I'm itching whenever that day comes where we can get back onto a court, indoor and/or beach, is exciting, because just watching these girls, the way they develop, the way they learn, and the way that they just keep their standards, the way, they keep growing together, and it is exciting. I think we've got a bright future ahead of us for sure.
Riley, kind of in that same vein, I mean, you were second team all conference, you led the WCC in kills, so you're one of the young stars on this team. What's it like being on a team that doesn't have any seniors? Because I think, the normal dynamic is you look toward that, that upperclassman leadership, whereas you guys are pretty much all on the same level in terms of being underclassmen. What's it like being in that atmosphere?
It was definitely kind of weird having everyone the same age, trying to figure out who to listen to, what to do. But after a while, I feel like we figured out what our roles are, so that's definitely helped. But it's kind of cool being all the same age. So, but it's kind of weird having to go against your peers that are the same age as you. But we've definitely figured it out, and we're so close. We're like sisters. We bicker all the time, but we're so close. So it's a pretty cool thing.
Do you sense the same potential? I just heard Coach Gibbons talk about how much he loves his team. Do you sense the same potential in you guys as a group that Coach Gibbons does?
Oh, yes, 100%. Yeah.
Cool. I figured you'd say yes. I want to go to from one spectrum to the other and go to Emma, because Riley still has a couple of years left, and Emma, you're done, right? I mean, your eligibility is done. I just want to make sure I have it right.
So I have one more year of eligibility.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Looking back on what you've done so far, what are the finishes that you're most proud of? You have, quite a few notable mentions in the Pacific record books, but what are some of the finishes that you're most proud of?
I think as a team I think we placed 7th my sophomore year, which was the highest that Pacific has ever placed in the WCC. And that was really exciting. And I think probably just, I mean, racing as a team at conference is just the coolest thing. So all of our conference races, like kind of regardless of what my finish was, just placing together and finishing as a team is definitely a highlight.
Austin, you are definitely looking back now. We know you have no eligibility. What has your time at Pacific been like? And I know that's kind of a broad question, but if you could, maybe talk about some of the more notable moments in your mind reflecting back on your career.
Yeah, I'd definitely say it's just been a long process, and I've just kind of continually grown as a person and as a golfer through this time. I mean, I've had so many great memories that I can't even begin to think. Probably the most notable finish for me was last year at the Ama'ari Invitational in Hawaii. I played well and placed well at that tournament, which is one of the top fields in the country. So I was very proud of that. And then I happened to qualify for the U.S. Amateur as well that summer. Even though it's not through the school, I still, represented Pacific wearing the hats and then the bags. So that was definitely a cool experience. And honestly, just the brotherhood that I have with all my teammates, it's unlike anything else.
Coach Cook, can you reflect back on Austin's career for us?
Yeah, Austin was my first recruit that I signed here once I got hired here. Unbelievable, 5 years ago. But yeah,
Wow.
I got the job, and there was already a couple kids committed, and there was one spot left, and kind of stumbled upon Austin. I was down watching some U.S. amateur qualifying, actually down in Turlock at a local round, and he played really well. And I was watching this tall kid behind me. He hit it a mile, a little bit too high in the air as I like, but we got to teach his ball flight down a little bit. But no, Austin's become a really solid player. He always had the ability to shoot some really low scores, which really intrigued me. And then we've learned through short game, right, Foxy, a lot of stuff to keep some of his big rounds not to be so big and kind of keep him around par. His bad rounds aren't as bad as they were. He's putting a lot of time working on his golf swing. He's got a great golf swing. I think he's got a great chance of making it to the next level. But he's really worked hard on the short game. His wedges, with help of our new facilities as well, has really helped him kind of dial that in a little bit. With help from the TrackMan, some of the technology we have to work on your distance control. And, just watching him grow as a person. He had a little anger issues the first couple years, and we kind of grew out of that a little bit. We might or might not have maybe broken a club, which I don't really agree with, and we have some disciplinary stuff on that. But I think that's still on your wall. At least it was. Austin, I don't know if you still have it up there or not. But just watch him grow as a person. Just watching him mature into himself. And I saw he had a lot of potential when I first saw him, and I'm glad he became a Tiger. And it's been great having him around here for the last 4 years as part of the program. Really what we're trying to instill going forward with the future.
Very well said. Austin, by the way, what is next for you? What do you envision? You want to keep playing golf?
My plan is to keep playing golf, yes. So I was originally planning on playing Mackenzie Q School in March, but unfortunately that got postponed as well. So I'm waiting to hear back when they're going to reschedule that. For those of you who don't know, the Mackenzie Q School is for the Canadian Tour. There's the season up in Canada, and it's like 2 tiers below the PGA Tour.
It's awesome.
So that's kind of the beginning process of playing on the PGA Tour. So I'm waiting to hear back on that and when they reschedule, and we'll go from there.
We're sending positive vibes your way, man. Hopefully once all this blows over, you have some clarity with that. I'll keep it with Coach Cook, and this is a question, and it's going to be different for Coach Gibbons. I don't know if this exact same group of coaches was together. We may have talked about this at one of the country clubs where we did a PAF event, but the concept intrigues me as it pertains to Coach Cook and Coach Jones. The way you build a program and the way you recruit, you are a team, but also your sport is predicated on a lot of individual success. So, John, you talk about, Austin kind of setting a standard at Pacific. That being said, how do you go about recruiting kids do you go about recruiting kids that fit a certain culture, or do you go after the best golfers that you can
most people on our team that we're recruiting or have recruited are kind of multi-sport athletes. They played another sport prior till they found golf. So they have the team atmosphere behind them, kind of learn how to play as a teamwork. Yes, golf is an individual sport, but we still play as a team because we have to count, 4 out of 5 scores each and every day of each tournament. So yes, it's important if one of your players is shooting 65 and the rest of the guys are shooting 78, that doesn't really help the team score. So there's still a concept in there. You guys have to play for each other. And I think these guys are really starting to buy into it. Like Austin said, today here in about an hour, we're supposed to be boarding a flight for the WCC championship, but obviously we're not. But now but just kind of, I wish we really could have had the season play out because we're really starting to get some momentum. The guys are playing together. They're playing for one another. The change of culture was starting to really take shape this year with our 5 seniors and 5 freshmen. They were really gelling, and unfortunately got cut short. But as far as the recruiting part, we need guys that are willing to play for one another. If you guys watch the Ryder Cup or the President's Cup, just seeing those guys play for their countries and play for one as a unit, it's pretty instilling to watch, and that's kind of the atmosphere that we have in the college golf, which is because it's the last chance that you're really going to play for that after college. Then it's all back to being an individual sport again and what you can do in the professional ranks.
Josh, how does that work for you? I mean, do you go after just the fastest, student athletes you could find, or do you look for specific attributes in the student athlete?
Yeah, same with John. When we bring him in on campus and stuff, I definitely ask the opinion of the team on how they will fit in. Because if you don't have someone that fits in with the team, even though it's an individual sport, the chemistry is not there. You need each other to keep pushing each other. And if you have someone as an outlier that just doesn't fit in, it can really ruin the team culture as far as getting things done and pushing each other. Because if they don't push themselves and everybody else is, there's just that stigma, and everybody, just kind of gives a negative vibe for the program. So, we're looking for those athletes, that are fully committed and all in and just wants to be the best version of themselves. And I think it was Emma and Jasmine when they were freshmen. I go, what do you guys think, keeps the team culture going? I mean, what's the common bond? And they thought about it and they came back to me. It's like, if you want to be a good runner, you will fit in on the team. The team will succeed. So yeah, it's kind of a mixture. We do obviously go after the good runners, but they also have to be a good fit when they come on campus and meet the girls on the team.
Emma, how did you know you'd be a good fit at Pacific?
I really liked probably the girls on the team were awesome. And our coach is really focused on improvement. And I just really noticed that when I was talking with him. And I came out of high school and I wasn't super fast, so I knew I had a lot of room for growth. And that was something that he really focused on, was not necessarily how fast you are when you come in, but how fast can we make you when you leave our program. And so that was something that I thought that I would be a good fit because I really wanted to improve.
I can't remember if it was you that I interviewed at an event, but was it you that had like a ridiculous 5K time?
So I'll speak on that one. So Emma had a 20:30 5K time out of high school.
Like 20 minutes and 30 seconds?
20 minutes and 30 seconds. And even my friend, the head coach at St. Mary's, he was recruiting Emma as well. And we still talk about her, but she's ran 17:45, almost a 3-minute improvement on a 5K time. And for her credit, she's one of those athletes that, is fully committed and just works hard and is dedicated to trying to improve and be the best version of herself. And, we redshirted her in cross country shoes, and she ran a half marathon up in Auburn and ran 125 half marathon.
Wow.
So going from 5:30 or a 20:30 5K to what she runs now is it's an unbelievable story. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's all. If I tried to run a 5K in 17 and a half minutes, I would die. There's no doubt in my mind. Coach Gibbons, I'd imagine for you and this is a poignant question for you now because you're building with young talent. But when you bring in student athletes, I'd imagine first and foremost, they need to fit your culture.
Yeah, culture is everything. I mean, when we're out recruiting, myself, Corey, Katie, when we're is talent and character, and then they've got to find really add to the culture we have here, where we're going. I mean, one of those is even every single recruit we bring on campus, we ask the players, as much as it is, we want to show them a good time and give them an experience of a snapshot of what Pacific is. We're kind of interviewing them at the same time too, do you see this as your teammate and someone that you have a lifelong relationship with, and and the reality is, do they help us compete at the highest level we can compete at? Do they have a growth mindset? Are they focused on the process? Will they be process orientated when they get here? So there's a lot of it is that, but yeah, I mean, we've got such a rich history and culture in here, and it's not about reinventing the wheel. Every girl that has stepped onto this campus to play volleyball is something that's been very special, and it's the same thing with this young team. The one thing we have over just about anybody is this rich history, tradition. They always come back, and alumni, and even coaches, as to where when Dunning retired, we brought him back. When Terry Leskevich retired, I brought him back. So I mean, it's just to add to what we're building. Yeah, I mean, and that goes with the 8 girls we're bringing in this year. I mean, it's just they're the right fit. I mean, it's just they're going to add. They have the tools and the capability to get pushed and to join an already. I mean, it's exciting. I mean, how many coaches can actually say, "God, we got all these key core returners, and we had 2 girls injured last year. One of them a key cog in what we're doing, and it's just wow. Moving forward, competition's everything. You got to thrive on competing, and our girls love it. So and it's not easy, as we know, being a student athlete. There's a lot on their plate, but I mean, and this goes for every student athlete we have at Pacific. They're pretty amazing. I mean, I miss my girls to death, our indoor and beach players, but I miss every athlete. I love going to watch every athlete on our campus going to compete and then being able to talk to them. I mean, you talked about, I think it's in the air. I've always said I've been fortunate to be part of some very successful teams, and I think it's not just a team, it's an entire athletic department, where you walk in the halls and being able to talk to me, it's just these competitors, and I don't know, but yeah, I'm excited and looking forward to what our future has to bring, and and we're very fortunate.
Riley, how did you know you would be a fit when you got on campus coming from Sonora?
I definitely loved how Greg always talks about the process, because before I would just want to see the results right away. So being there for 2 years, he's definitely taught me how to trust the process, and you're not going to see results right away. So I definitely feel like that was a part of why I'd fit. So.
All right, I'm going to keep it with you, Riley. This is just a fun one I like to ask on all of these. I want to ask the student athletes how they're keeping in shape right now with all the gyms closed and it being kind of a hardship to work out. I have a feeling that Austin and Emma are kind of getting whatever work they need to in with being outdoors. But Riley, how about you?
It's definitely hard. You can't really play volleyball by yourself. So I do our little wall passes, but that's really it. So that's been kind of difficult. But my family, we have a little weight room. So I've been doing that, which is good. Working out with my brothers too. So that's been nice to have someone to work out with also. But for conditioning wise, I've been running up my hill, but it's just really hard to motivate yourself. So that's been kind of hard, but it's been weird. I don't know. It's been so weird not playing volleyball for so long. So it's just sad. I just really miss it.
I bet. Yeah. Austin, you're on the course, right? We talked about that.
Yeah. Luckily, the courses in Sacramento are still open, so I've been able to get out and play.
Emma, I'd imagine you've been finding somewhere to run.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of funny. If you ask some runners, it's like, our lives haven't changed that much. We still run, eat, and sleep.
Yes, indeed. I'm going to go to Coach Cook right now, and I want to ask you about the Golf and Learning Center, the Walter Chang Golf and Learning Center. It opened in February. Austin, unfortunately, won't have a chance to really get in there all that much, and us maybe you let them come back and use it. But can you take us through what the facility is and how it's changed the dynamic of your program?
Yeah, so we opened that in the late February, it's been a work in progress since I got here. It was really exciting to get that open. Yeah, so we had access to it for about a month with the team. We were really starting to get everything all put together out there. Obviously, the short game area, that's been intact for about a year and a half. So it was kind of nice to have that. But the building, it was just the guys were hanging out. They're practicing out there. It was the weekends. They was kind of like their clubhouse. They'd be out there. They'd practice, go grab some lunch, come back, maybe practice some more. It was just everything that we instilled. That the vision of it was they were hanging out there and becoming a team, which I also think helped kind of the cohesion of the team that we're trying to instill in these guys. This was kind of the final piece of the puzzle. Kind of helped them have a home base that they were really looking for. We still have a lot of stuff to put together in it. We kind of been to put on hold with everything right now, what's going on. But it's been fantastic. It's helped with recruiting. We've had a couple kids we signed already for next year that when we brought them on campus after the fact that it was open, and they're like, where do I sign? So that's been a great addition to what we're trying to do here with the combination of the university and the facility. It's been a great 1-2 punch.
Austin, I know you're not going to get to experience the golf and learning center a ton, but from what you've seen, what's it like from a student athlete perspective?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, you walk in there and it's just kind of breathtaking. It was really nice the month that I was able to use it. Like Coach said, we kind of used it as our home base so we could go out, practice, come back in, eat lunch, take a nap if we needed to, if we're feeling tired, and then just go right back out to practicing. So it really kind of provided a home base for everyone, and we really enjoyed hanging out there. And it's just amazing that we have that facility for our use.
Indeed.
You mentioned he's always welcome to come out and use it if he's around.
There you go. I was coaxing the invite out of you for Austin.
It's already been mentioned to these guys. Yes.
You mentioned recruiting, John. I'm going to ask all the coaches this. This is obviously a difficult time to be recruiting in this climate. I talked with Damon Circle's members yesterday about that, what basketball is doing. Touch on how this process has changed for all of you. And John, I'll start with you.
Well, this coming year, we signed, we have 4 guys coming in. We have 1 true freshman from Norway. We've got a transfer from a junior college coming from Australia that's actually been in the States the last couple of years, playing down at Reedley, down in Visalia area. And then we have a kid transferring from King's College back from Bristol, Tennessee, that's actually from Italy. So right now, 3 of our 4 guys, I'm not sure if we can get them here in August. I don't know. There's some travel restrictions going on. We're trying to navigate through that right now. But knock on wood, hopefully things are cleared up and we can get those guys here on campus sooner than later. And then we have another guy transferring in down from Concordia University out of Portland, Oregon, that's coming in. Since their program kind of got shut down, we kind of gave him a spot to play his last year. So yeah, that part with that, the way we're set up right now, we won't have any seniors on the team possibly the next 2, maybe 3 years now, just the way with this whole eligibility thing. So my assistant coach and I, we're trying to navigate through that right now. There's not a lot of junior tournaments going on right now. There's absolutely none. So we can't really watch anybody play anything. Kids keep sending us videos of them hitting into their homemade nets or hitting into old mattresses in the backyard, which is kind of funny, different way of looking at golf swings. But the kids are being creative. I love it. So they got to do what they got to do to have us watch them to see how they're doing and progressing. So that's been a little interesting. The transfer portal's been a whole new avenue now, especially with all this years of eligibility. A lot of kids have jumped on there, and it almost looks like basketball now. I've been told how many kids are on there trying to transfer around the country right now, which is interesting. Every morning we kind of spend about a half an hour, 45 minutes going over that.
Josh, how about you?
Yeah, I definitely saw once this pandemic hit, there's kind of a freeze on decision making, and so it's been a weird recruiting this spring. As far as I've had some athletes already change their mind and want to stay closer to home, but we still have a few that we're waiting on word, hopefully this week or next week, and then we have some walk-ons that are coming as well. But they're more local from the Valley. So yeah, but definitely you could tell once this happened, there was a different mindset in some of these athletes coming in.
Greg, did you really have to adjust as far as recruiting, or did you already have a lot of your athletes in the fold?
We were very fortunate, as far as we didn't have a tremendous amount of needs as far as even planning years out is just because we are so young, and the girls, quite a few of our student athletes, we committed for indoor and beach. I will say we had one need, and this is the first time ever, in 20 years, I think, in the sport and coaching that I've ever recruited someone sight unseen, where we did it through video, my staff and I, Katie and Corey hitting the ground, trying to find out as much as they could, making calls, we'll get video, and then getting to know, Sydney, out of Buda, Texas, where through Zoom, and having to do our first ever kind of a virtual recruiting tour. This is the first time we've never brought someone that we've committed for a visit. She wasn't able to get here. So we did a virtual one, to try and answer as many questions as we could. And she'd already had some offers on the table. And so it was a blessing that we were able to get her. This entire class that we brought in, but a majority, she was the only one. Everyone else I'd either coached in club over the years, or, we'd been recruiting them for, the past year, 2 years. And so we were able to get them committed. And then we're still working on some beach players, which is an exciting thing because this is the second true season we've ever truly put focus on trying to get beach only players. So, to be able to get 2 so far, and we're working on bringing in a few more, through talking to them, talking through basically a lot of connection, through either club or people I played with or whatever that are now coaching. And it's just, it is very different, but it's great. I like what we have coming in an awful lot. I think they'll mix well with what we have, but recruiting is definitely different. It's weird being at home when right now we'd be, I'd have Corey, I think, on the East Coast, myself in the Midwest somewhere, and Katie down south somewhere recruiting in Texas or something. So it's very different, but we're trying to do our best. I'm learning a lot with technology, and it's like anything, you adapt to the situation and we're fortunate. One of our coordinator of analytics, is able to create some drone things that he has a drone company that does security of all things for manure. And so he has flown some drones over the campus. We're trying to find ways, as we're recruiting, what does that look like? But yeah, we've been very fortunate.
Hey, Zach, real quick.
Yeah.
Perfect time on the question. I just got an email. One of the athletes is just committed to us. So
congratulations.
Thank you. I'm pretty excited about that.
Nice. See, I just had to bring it up.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Out of way. I want to get back to the student athletes, and I want to ask about distance learning. I want each of your majors, and then tell me how it's been. So I'll start with Riley. What's your major, and what's the distance learning been like for you?
My major is business entrepreneurship. So I am taking a behavior class and accounting and an Excel course. So it's been very different. Learning accounting online has been hard, and I've kind of struggled with it, but getting the hang of it. So my teachers have all been super understanding. So that's really nice that they're being understanding. That's super helpful. And then learning Excel online has been difficult too. I don't really know how to do it, but my teacher, like I said, he's been super helpful. So still getting the hang of it, but it's definitely hard learning from home. I'm not used to it. It's not the same environment. So it's really hard. I have so much free time that I put it off. And I'm like, I can do it tomorrow. But then I probably should have just done it. So that's been kind of hard, just putting in the time to actually work on my stuff.
If it makes you feel better, one of my most well-kept secrets, and I'm 37 years old, one of my most well-kept secrets, and you guys all get to be privy to it now, is I have no clue what I'm doing in Excel. Like, I have no clue as far as like setting up, and if someone gives me an Excel thing, I can do it. But as far as setting something up, I'd be lost. So don't feel too bad about that. Emma, how about you? What's your major, and how's the distance learning going?
I am an education major, so I'm getting my multiple subject credentials. And this year I was completing my student teaching. So I wasn't taking too many classes on campus, but I was student teaching in a 4th grade class. So when this all happened, we transferred to remote learning, and that has been really hilarious, doing distance learning with fourth graders and seeing them on camera and trying to figure out the platform. But it's been really good to be able to still check in with them and see them every day.
Sounds like a nightmare. Where are you doing student teaching? Where were you doing your student teaching?
I was student teaching at August Knott Elementary School, which is part of Manteca Unified School District, but it's still in Stockton, just a little bit farther south.
Awesome. Austin, how about you? Did you have any classes left?
I do, unfortunately. Yeah, I needed the units, so I'm taking a full course load this last semester. But I'm a business administration, concentrating in finance. I've been taking one of my investments class, which is hard even without online, and so it just added a whole nother complexity to it. Switching to this online learning, but it's a learning curve, and I'm getting used to it. So it's not as bad as I thought it was.
I want to keep it with the golf guys, and I have a question for you, and it's from me, and this is a genuine curiosity. Maybe a positive residual effect of this is that it will perhaps grow a sport like golf, where if you talk about having to do something on your own and get out there and people are desperate to get out and compete in something or do something, golf might be an avenue. Is there any validity to that? And I'll go to Coach Cook, and then I want Austin's opinion on that too.
I'm going to say yes right now. Obviously, there's not a lot of softball games going on. You know, you drive by these parks, they're all empty right now. I don't see anybody playing soccer as a group. I mean, you drive by the sports complexes, and I drive by golf courses if they're open, and they're absolutely packed. You know, I know the reserve at Spanos Park had I think 180 people playing out there yesterday, I was told. I heard Swenson Park had almost 300 this weekend, which is, I mean, that's just, as soon as they can get them out there, and there's plenty of room, I think it might actually give golf a little bump again. Maybe not so much on selling the equipment stuff, but just being out in the atmosphere, you know, be able to walk around in the nice, beautiful grass. And I mean, the weather's been perfect here the last week and a half or so. It's been pretty nice to get out and play a little golf.
Austin, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it'll definitely get people playing again. It's crazy when you go out to the golf courses right now. It is just absolutely packed. And like, if you wanted to play, you have to schedule a tee time at least 4 or 5 days in advance to even think about it. And that tee time is usually late afternoon. So it's crazy to see how many people are actually getting out and playing. So it's cool to see. Kind
of in that same vein, you know, I know track and cross country are a little bit different. I would say, you know, pardon me if it's ignorant, I would say less specialized than golf. I'd say golf is more of a specialty. I'd say more people might be inclined to get out and run and try and see what they can do. Can you tell me how to make running fun? Because I really want to enjoy it. And for someone like me, it is tough, and I do it, but you know, I struggle to find, I think, the enjoyment that you guys might get. And maybe it would help some people get out and run if they found more of a way to enjoy it themselves. Do you guys have any ideas as far as that goes? And I'll start with Coach Jones.
I think the best thing to do is actually, when you go out for your first run or just starting a run, go out slow and just make it enjoyable, as far as make it short and slow. It doesn't have to be fast. Don't go out based off of how you feel, because you'll end up hating yourself by the end of the run. So just make sure you go out, and even if it's just half a mile, just jog for half a mile really slow. And so you have, you know, you feel good at the end. And if you really want to get into it, you go off of heart rate, and that's a whole nother thing. But if you keep your heart rate low in a jog, and just the slower you are, the farther you can go and the more fun you can have with it. And you will eventually get that runner's high that people do talk about and do get.
I think that's real poignant advice, because I think it's for someone like me, and you guys might be similar, whoever's on here. You go out and you just try and crush it right away, and then you get a little bit disheartened, and it ends up not being so fun. So I like that slow and steady kind of mentality. So Emma, I shouldn't go out and try and run a 17.5-minute 5K, right? Is that what Coach Jones is telling me?
Yeah, I was gonna just add on that you can also like run for 5 minutes and then walk for 5 minutes and then run for 5 minutes. So you can kind of alternate, and that helps too. And then also just bringing music can really help motivate you and kind of take your focus off from how much you might be hurting.
No doubt. I want to keep it with cross country for a moment, because we do have a question and it's coming from the gallery. The qualifications, Josh, can you talk about the qualifications to walk on for cross country?
You know, we look at times obviously, but you know, for walk-ons, it's about what you are for commitment. And it's all aspects, kind of what I talked about earlier, how you fit in. Obviously, you know, we also, grades is also a good thing. If you have good grades, then you might be able to handle the season itself. But it's a whole aspect. We really don't have a definite number as far as time goes, because like Emma said earlier, we're all about improving people when they come here. And if they're willing to work hard and want to improve, you know, we have a spot for them. But the other aspect is you know, the academic side, and because it's tough. I mean, you got to be disciplined as a distance runner for, you know, our early practices and to manage your time throughout the day when you've done everything you can. So yeah, that's basically it in a nutshell, is, you know, full commitment. But yeah.
I want to ask the coaches a question that came in about competing basically in the context of leagues where you have teams ranked in the top, you know, whatever in the country. You have some of the top teams in the country in your league. What's it like to compete with them, and how does it help recruiting? And I'll ask Coach Gibbons to start.
Yeah, obviously, whoever wins our conference for indoor or beach volleyball, for that matter, is competing for a national championship. You know, so yeah, of course, I think the West Coast Conference helps in recruiting. You know, I mean, you're talking about, for indoor and beach volleyball, one of the top conferences in the country. You know, so it bounces around between 3 and 5, you know, nationally. So yeah, you know, I mean, any opportunity where you can compete at the highest level. You know, for our indoor squad, you know, the team to go through right now, San Diego or BYU, and they both have been ranked as high as #1 in the country. And you know, it's been, and that's who you got to knock off the mountain right now. So, but I mean, from top to bottom, you look at RPI wise, I mean, there's exceptional. I mean, what was it when BYU was #1 or whatever a couple years ago? Yeah, the bottom team in our conference beat them. You know, so it's just from top to bottom. There's no easy match. So that's one of the things, is you've got to love and thrive on competing, because there isn't. It doesn't matter whether you're in first place or you're in 10th place. You know, every time you show up, you better be ready to play some volleyball, which is awesome, because you're watching and competing at the highest level. It's a thrill. So those that obviously, you know, some of the people that are on here that come to our matches, I mean, that's some great volleyball. And same with the beach. I mean, if you look at who's won I think half of the national championships in the baby sport of beach volleyball has been Pepperdine, you know. So it's to be able to make it out of a conference of the WCC in beach volleyball, you're setting yourself up to potentially win a national championship. So yeah, I mean, it helps recruiting. It helps. I mean, just the level. I mean, it's fun to come out and watch. You know, if you're a fan. I mean, sometimes as a coach, you know, there's been times where we played exceptional. You know, like, well, no matter who it is, these 5-setters. I mean, what is it? I think we hold the NCAA record. We set just a few years back in 5-set matches in our conference. I mean, yeah, that's stressful, you know, but my God, does it get any better than that? I mean, does it get any better than putting yourself in a position to compete like that? So yeah, I mean, we're in a great conference with some great teams, and it's definitely, it helps with a lot of things.
Riley, I'd imagine the draw of playing in the WCC against, you know, teams like BYU, you know, some of the best in the country. I'd imagine that is a draw for you when you're recruited to come to school like Pacific.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's definitely part of why I came, because just the competition. I love competing, so it's definitely a competition every game.
John, I'll go to you next as far as recruiting guys and telling them, you know, you're going to compete in the context of this league where you have some of the best of the best.
Yeah, you know, this year Pepperdine, with the season cut short, they were ranked #1 in the country, and which is pretty impressive for being a non-football conference, as far as the way golf is kind of laid out across the country. And, I think we're not too far behind them. Obviously, they're a couple steps ahead of us right now, but, we're not too far. And seeing what they're able to do in the WCC gives, motivation for us to take care of them and get them down the line here in the road here before too long. That's kind of the vision.
Austin, can you touch on that as a competitor in the league?
Yeah, I think the nice thing about it is you get to play with those guys in tournaments, so you really kind of see the differences between you and them. And it's not much in golf, so there's really not much that separates the top teams from kind of the middle tier teams. So just being in that atmosphere really kind of puts things in perspective and makes you realize that you are that good.
Josh, I'll go to you next on this.
Yeah, the WCC, I mean, is so competitive in distance running. If you looked at last year's nationals, the women BYU were second at nationals and the men won nationals. And to have a national field of 32 teams and 2 or 3 teams coming out of the WCC, it's a huge draw. You get to compete against the best in the country, and yeah, and especially and even in our West region, being in the West region. 2 years ago, the WCC schools beat all the Pac-12 schools at regionals individually and team. So it's definitely a huge draw to bring in good talent.
Emma, can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I would just say that I think it's just so, it's really inspiring to be competing against girls who are running really fast times, and you start thinking oh, that's probably impossible to hit that time, but then you see such a big group of girls who have already overcome that barrier or hit that mark, and so you start realizing that it's possible and that you're not far away from it either.
Well said. We are almost out of time, but I do want to go around the horn and ask the coaches. I know in these times it's so weird and people are thinking about all kinds of different things, but you might forget that you guys have needs too, as far as keeping your program going and maintained and getting ready for when we do get back, because we are going to get back. So if you wanted to appeal for something or had one way or another that people could help you guys out, I want to give you the forum and the floor to ask for that. And I'll start with Coach Gibbons.
Hey, yeah, I mean, the PAF, they do a tremendous amount, obviously in these uncertain times right now, as far as, yeah, I mean, you can turn on the news, turn on ESPN, turn on anything, and just the need to keep our student athletes, whatever is going to happen in the future. I mean, it was real promising, just yesterday being put out what Pacific's trying to do, but as far as for anything we can do for our student athletes, as far as team travel for our teams, and then for gear and just different things as far as for our indoor and beach programs to get them back up and running. I mean, I'm very thankful for all the support and our supporters, and any way they can help us is a huge benefit.
Coach Cook?
Without the support of the boosters and everyone that we have in our program, we have to raise a lot of money to keep us going just afloat, which is great. Unfortunately, our big Tiger Hunt fundraiser is supposed to be Monday the 4th, and that's not happening right now. I'm not sure if it's going to happen or not this year. So, I mean, we're trying to figure out ways to kind of ride the storm a little bit like everybody is. Everything helps us. I appreciate everything that, I know a lot of guys on this call and people that support us, so I appreciate everything they do. And without them, we wouldn't have the facility we already have. So everything's much appreciated.
Coach Jones, last but not least.
Yeah, I mean, the PAF is such an important for our programs. And, I think the big uncertainty is what does the programs look like next year as far as experiences for these student athletes. And all the support we get from PAF definitely will help keep those experiences afloat and have so they can have the best experiences they're at Pacific.
Fantastic. Well, I wanted to thank all the coaches and student athletes for making time. Welcome to our little Tuesday group. This is always a lot of fun, and I miss you guys, all you guys that I see out there. I wanted to talk about next week's Tiger Talk before you go, and don't leave yet, because it's going to be a very special edition of Tiger Talk, the football edition of Tiger Talk. That's right. We used to play football at Pacific. So next week, and I know it's going to be really well attended, Is it May 5th already? Next week? My gosh. We are going to have a football edition, and it will feature Daryl Hobbs from the class of 91. Greg, is it Kaperick? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Either Koprick or Kaperick. I'm going to go with Kaperick, class of 1990. And then Walt Harris is going to represent the 1972 and 1973 Pacific football teams. Carl Kammerer and Fatafa Jefferson. Fa'atafa. Yeah, there you go. I nailed it right there. Fa'atafa Jefferson will be on next week. And that will go until 5:30. We're going to give ample time for all the folks that are going to be here next week. So next Tuesday, Tiger Talk Football Edition right back here. And just keep an eye out on the website. You'll have the link to join the Zoom meeting for football talk next week. Thank you guys all for coming. Stay safe. And we'll see you next week. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Zach.
Thank you.
Thank you.